Hello everybody, this is the 11th episode of Ike's Political Minute, and today I will be going over a very hot topic in the political environment of today, which is, will Texas flip blue? I will reveal my answer at the end of this video, but I will go through several facts and just maps that I deem relevant before I even touch that. And hey, look, the most relevant fact that you can see is actually right here. Ted Cruz narrowly edged out Beto O'Rourke, but I will be going through others, such as the population gains of each county in Texas, and the ones that are gaining the most population and the implications of that on the future, as well as the state of each party and how that will likely affect Texan elections. And without further ado, I will begin. So, as you can see here, Ted Cruz narrowly did not have an embarrassing defeat in 2018, just narrowly. And as you can see here, the Democrats did phenomenally for how they usually do. And back in September and August, Ted Cruz was only leading by 3 points in the polls, and then he was leading by 7 or 8 points come election day. So it could have been that Beto O'Rourke could be 4 points above water if this election was held back then, just because of the grassroots enthusiasm that he had. But it wasn't, and guys, you guys are gonna say that Beto O'Rourke is just this one-of-a-kind candidate, and that you can't field any other candidates like him. Well, look guys, Beto O'Rourke had a DUI, that was definitely a ding on him. And how he denied fleeing the crime scene, and then he was fact-checked by a certain news organization that the debate, yeah, that did not help his case at all. And just think about it, the Mary Hagers of Texas, the Colin Allreds of Texas, the Lizzie Peniel Fletchers of Texas, those are the people who are the future of the Texas Democratic Party, and their future is very bright right now. And 3 counties that are especially populous in terms of how they're growing are Williamson County, where Beto O'Rourke won by 2 points, Fort Bend, which he won by like 12 points, and Fort Worth, which is Tarrant County, which he only won by like 0.7 percentage points. But holy cow! Republicans usually win this place by 30 points. That is awesome. And just look at the population that Fort Worth encompasses. If it flipped blue, game over for the GOP in Texas. And by a bigger margin anyway. And then you've got Denton County and Collin County, which is basically where you have Denton, Texas, which is a substantially big city. And then you've got McKinney, Plano, Frisco, Allen, and Collin County is one of the whitest counties in Texas, so I would not expect that to flip blue anytime soon, but it is a possibility. Fort Bend County, just outside of Houston. Houston, by individual city, is the biggest city in Texas. So, with this rapidly diversifying county, which is becoming more suburban, this should make the Republicans start to sweat. I mean, Beto O'Rourke didn't just win this county, Hillary Clinton won this county. And if Hillary Clinton did better than Obama did in 2012, I could definitely see Texas flipping blue in future election cycles, since Hillary Clinton was frankly a very awful candidate, and that was the reason that she lost. Williamson County, just outside of Austin, yet another place where you see a lot of suburbs, like Round Rock. I'm sure that a lot of people just go there for the donuts, but hey, also a nice place to live. So I'm sure that that's just one of the many reasons that it is growing and is just an exurb of Austin, and, you know, the housing market is really good in Texas. There are a lot more places like Hays County or other counties that also are just experiencing amazing growth, and, you know, an example of a Texan House race where John Carter avoided an embarrassing defeat is the Texas 31st House District, as you can see here, with Williamson County attached to it, where Mary Hager won by 1 point. And hey, Mary Hager was no Beto O'Rourke, she was only known within the district. But once again, if you don't have Beto O'Rourke, plenty of other Democrats are willing to take that mantle, so I'm just going to show the inspiring campaign ad. It's 3 minutes long, you can skip over it if you want, of just what brought Mary Hager to the status that she was and making this race close down to like 3 points. Because seriously, she was competitive in this race.
This is a story about doors. A lot of them. And that's me, MJ Hagar, an Air Force combat veteran and a mom. This door behind me is from my Pave Hawk helicopter. It's all that's left of the aircraft that I was flying that day. I was on a rescue mission in Afghanistan as a combat search and rescue pilot. I heard the windshield crack and realized I'd been shot. But I continued the mission and airlifted the patients out. After taking even more fire, we crashed a few miles away. But my story begins much earlier. One of my first memories was of a door, but it was my dad throwing my mom through a glass wall. 3 years later, Mom got the courage to walk out the door, and she opened a new one for my sister and me here in Texas. And it was here that I put my foot on the gas and followed my dream to be a pilot. And that meant opening, pushing, sometimes kicking through every door that was in my way. I signed up for ROTC at UT. Then I was commissioned as an officer in the Air Force. I served 5 years in aircraft maintenance, working on the F-16 and the B-2. I managed to get one of only a handful of slots for flight school. Then I spent a year training to fly. I flew water drops over wildfires in California, and eventually served 3 tours in Afghanistan. And then, the crash. 2 Army helicopters rescued us from the wreckage. I strapped myself to the skids and returned fire on the Taliban while we flew to safety. That got me a Purple Heart, and I became the second woman ever awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross with Valor. But after that, the door closed. Injured and unable to fly, I was barred from my next career choice because I was a woman. So I came home. I worked in healthcare and business, I got married, and started my family.
Wait, barred because I was a woman? That's ridiculous.
So I sued the Pentagon. But not just about that job, about the ban on women serving in all ground combat jobs. And I went to DC to lobby Congress. But door after door was slammed in my face. I heard things like, my boss agrees with you, but you aren't in a position to do anything for him. You're not one of our donors. Well, eventually,
we are eliminating the direct ground combat exclusion rule for women.
We won. And that opened the door for hundreds of thousands of women to compete for elite ground combat jobs. A major victory for our military.
Hold on, back up a minute. Not one of his donors? That's not how this is supposed to work.
One of those closed doors was my congressman, Tea Party Republican John Carter. Apparently, being his constituent and a veteran wasn't enough to get a meeting. I guess I also needed to be a donor. So now I'm running against him, taking on a system that cares more about campaign donors and political parties than protecting our country. Congressman Carter hasn't had a tough race his entire career. So,
We'll show him tough, then we'll show him the door.
So, as we can see, Mary Hager is a very strong candidate, but she was no anomaly in Texas. Because if you look at this, Colin Allred, pretty much all the forecasting models predicted that he would lose. And Lizzie Peniel Fletcher, they predicted that she would win by a narrow margin. 5 points is nothing to sniff at here. And look at this. Dan Crenshaw, his race was never expected to be competitive. Look at this, 7-point margin. Michael McCall, likely a Republican in 2016. Again, it's like a 5-point margin. Republicans, watch out. Democrats really are becoming competitive. Or like Chip Roy, who narrowly avoided being ousted by Joseph Kopser. Man, and also, if you look at the population growth by each county, look at this. Tarrant County, 13.04. That is amazing. It is growing by a great amount, and you can just bet that this will benefit the Democrats. And what will also benefit the Democrats is that Harris County, which is basically Houston, is also growing by about the same amount that Tarrant County is growing by. And then, holy cow, Williamson County, 28.43%. Man, Mary Hager should really take another run at the House of Representatives. Maybe she could actually win. Or Fort Bend County, 29.57%. Man, oh man, Houston Republicans, you better watch where you step. So what could go wrong, Democrats? You've got all the demographics in favor of you. Texas has been swinging to the left. Oh, wait a minute. It used to not be that way. In fact, back in 2012, Mitt Romney was winning by 15 points. That was no mistake. Ted Cruz was too. And as you can see here, right before the Texas general election in 2018 on November 6th, look at this. Flores narrowly beat former U.S. Congressman who represented the area, Pete Gallego. And in a district that was 73.4% black/Hispanic? Well, okay. That is supposed to be the demographic that brings the Democrats to victory in Texas, not holds them back. So maybe there is a sign that Texas could stay red. But, on the other hand, the people who used to win Texas won it by enormous margins, but they were also compassionate conservative, or they had some characteristics of it. I mean, think about it. George W. Bush beat Al Gore by over 30 points. The same thing with John Kerry. But you know what? When Obama kind of stole the Latino vote from the Republicans by making the Democratic Party more compassionate than it had been, that really did help them. So when compassionate Republicans run, that is a good sign for Texas. And as you can see here, Chris Christie, who definitely has attributes of a compassionate conservative, beat Barbara Buono by a very wide margin. Man, she was not expected to win at all. And if it weren't for Bridgegate, he could be our next president right now. But does this prove that New Jersey is going to be blue? I mean, does it prove that New Jersey is going to be red? No. Chris Christie, sorry Republicans, is an anomaly. I mean, look at the Senate elections. I mean, Bob Menendez, scandal-clad candidate who was expected to narrowly edge out Bob Hugin, or maybe even lose to him, he won by 12 freaking percentage points. I mean, there has to be more to estate flipping than just a candidate, and unlike just one candidate with Beto O'Rourke in Texas, there are many candidates in Texas who have proven that Texas can flip blue. And if you look at the population numbers for each county, the demographics will definitely help the Democrats in Texas. Which is why, in my final conclusion, I will say that Texas will flip blue based on what you see right now. Remember, it could change. The GOP could become compassionate conservative, but right now, I really don't see a chance for Texas to stay red if the Republicans continue to stay how they are with Trumpism, and the Democrats keep on doing what they're doing. Thank you everybody for watching this video. Please comment down suggestions below, and like and subscribe to Ike's Political Minute, and I will see you all later.